Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me begin in the right way, first of all, by thanking the Creator for this beautiful day that has been given to us. Let me honor the people whose homelands we are upon today. Let me also remember all of our ancestors who have come before us, and to honor our elders who are among us. Madam Chair, the Sami and the Inuit who make this joint statement are peoples of the Arctic. We have lived for thousands of years in what is known today as Norway, Sweden, Finland, Russia, Alaska, Canada, and Greenland. We will strongly promote, Madam Chair, that the discussion here today will lead to action as recommendations are sent up the UN hierarchy and are reviewed by ECOSOC. We are confident that this will happen, as we, the members of the Arctic Caucus, will continually remind UN member states and the UN agencies that they have established not to drop this matter. When it comes to coping and adapting to climate change, we have much to offer the United Nations. We have concrete proposals. Both our traditional knowledge and our other knowledge systems are invaluable tools that we offer the members of the United Nations. We hope that they will agree to use them. We commend, Madam Chair, the UN Secretary General for having hosted a high-level climate change summit last September, where he invited heads of state and members of civil society, including an Indigenous representative, to speak with one another. By hosting such a summit, the Secretary General is calling upon all member states and the United Nations agencies to place the matter of climate change as a matter of first priority. I would like to remind you that this high-level summit opened with a very short video, and that the first images projected were that of the Arctic, the melting ice cap of Greenland, and the thinning ice. The Nobel Peace Prize winning Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change highlights the fact that the Arctic is warming faster than any other place on this planet. And I would like to remind all those that are listening that we, the Sami and the Inuit, live in that Arctic. While the Arctic Caucus does not want to look back at the closed-door environment that existed in numerous previous conferences of the parties of the UNFCCC, including the process that led to Kyoto, and we would rather look forward optimistically, we must collectively learn from our mistakes. It is clear that in future COPs, the plight of Indigenous peoples will not be addressed if they are not at the table and they are not involved in the decision-making. We call upon the United Nations to open the door to Indigenous peoples in all matters affecting climate change. While we speak to this agenda item from an Arctic perspective, we do so in solidarity with our brothers and sisters, our other Indigenous people. The Sami and Inuit are highlighting the specific challenges of the Arctic because they are real and they hurt us. But we are also doing so because we know that we are all connected. What we see most visibly in the Arctic today, Indigenous peoples on small islands in the Pacific and in the mountains and the rainforests of South America and in the fertile soils and deserts of Africa will experience much more effect tomorrow. Already today, we see the effects of climate change everywhere. While we must attack the causes of climate change vigorously, Madam Chair, let us be cautious in how we plan mitigation strategies. Indigenous peoples have experienced not only the effects of climate change most dramatically, but they have borne the brunt of misguided mitigation measures that are mostly done without consultation and often without any thought. How else does one explain, Madam Chair, the numerous examples of hydropower plants that are flooding our lands, sprawling windmills, farms that are interfering with our reindeer herding areas, geothermal plants that are displacing our sacred sites, and the biofuel crisis that we have heard so much about? There's even talk of going back to nuclear power plants that are often placed on or near our lands, our territories, and thus in turn mean uranium mining near our settlements. Let us talk before we act. We would like today to focus on three very important recommendations for this forum to consider. They are: 1, each United Nations agency that works on climate change matters should develop a special Arctic focal point for climate change. 2, the UNFCCC should develop a seat at the negotiating table specifically dedicated to Indigenous peoples, in which we would have direct access to decision makers and where we would be able to offer our knowledge in constructive ways. And 3, all UN member states and agencies should include in their climate change strategies a screening mechanism that evaluates the impacts of mitigation measures themselves on Indigenous peoples. I thank you for this opportunity, Madam Chair.